Hi, welcome back. Um, I have this beautiful onion that I'm working with today. So this is our native onion, and it's called nodding onion. I'm not sure what the scientific name for it is, but it blooms kind of similar to drumstick alliums. So kind of June, July, and then it will form seed heads the end of July. And then now the seed is ready to come out because I can see that they're already popping out of their little like cases. And the bumblebees absolutely love it, and it's like really pretty too. It has these like little purple flowers, and they start kind of drooping down, and then once the flowers kind of go over, it slowly starts to straighten up, and then the seed pods form kind of like upright. But because they start drooping, they start off drooping, I think is why they're called nodding onions. And as far as I know, they are edible, but don't quote me on that. So, mostly just growing it as an ornamental, and because it's native to, like, I'm sure there's a lot of insects that have a relationship with a specific species. So, anything that encourages those guys too. So, I already prepared a seed tray, and this is a mix that I just whipped up that is 3 parts seed mix, which is sterile, and then 1 part pumice, which I pre-rinsed just to make sure that there was nothing like wanting to grow in there. And I added pumice because the onions like to grow in kind of a drier environment, so I just wanted to make sure that they had like good drainage. Pumice also holds some water, but it just holds air at the same time, and it's all pre-moistened, so this is good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and snip off a couple of these heads, and I figured I would do this over the tray so that if any of them fall down, um, they'll just fall into like where I want them to be anyway. But there's so many of these like little black seeds. Oops, and a spider. Sorry, spider. Oh, and one of his old like exoskeletons. Well, we'll grow him lots of onions that he can live on, or his offspring. Awesome. So I'm just going to take 2 of these little black seeds and put them in 2 opposite corners of each of the cells. And I'm just going to press them down lightly, but I'll do that once I've done the whole tray. So I did 2 per cell. Well, just to make sure that at least hopefully one would grow. Plus, some fell on them for sure. Like I can see this one has quite a few. Actually, I might thin them. So there might even be like at least 3 per cell. But I figured that once they form like a little bulblet, they'll be pretty easy to divide, hopefully, as well. And then these ones I'll keep pretty moist because I'm confident that they'll still have some like air pockets and not like drown any little seedlings that form. And my thought was to keep them in the greenhouse for the next little while, but once the like something grows out of it, then I'll bring them out and leave them somewhere that's like sheltered, but where they can kind of experience the winter. Like since they're from here, they should do fine. So that's these guys, and I'm just gonna cover them with a little bit more of the soil, and I'm just gonna use like the straight stuff. Awesome. So I'm just collecting the rest of the seed heads, and then I'm going to put them in an envelope and just store them in case these don't work for any reason. I'll have some backups, or I can share them with friends or, whatever. So these ones are all done. So these will go straight into the greenhouse. And the soil is nice and moist, and there's some extra water in there too. So it should just like soak up. And then next, I'm going to go ahead and divide the big plant. So I have 2 trays here. I have one that can hold water and one that can't. These ones won't need water for as long because they already have bulbs. So once they have roots, I won't have to worry about them as much. So I'll be able to lift them out and then put them somewhere outside where they can get rained on and stuff. All right, for the actual dividing of the bulbs, I have a box, and I'm basically going to dump the whole thing out into the box and then kind of sort through it after. So, well, super root bound, and it's actually only been in here, I want to say since like May. Okay, so that is a pretty long time. I'm not too worried about all the roots because it's so root bound. I don't think I'd be able to really separate them, so I'm kind of just tearing up the bottom. It smells really oniony, so that makes sense. I feel like I'm getting to like the inner root ball, which was like the roots when I brought it home. It kind of got like all dense again. So I guess all these exterior roots were the ones. Yeah, this is like the original pot, you can kind of see. Okay, I'm just gently like massaging it apart, and then I'm gonna go in. Oh, all right. Oh, there's a weed in here, some grass, so I'll take that out. Okay, there's like lots of onions, which is amazing. So, there we go. An onion. It had two bloom stalks, so I think this one is actually, it'll be two separate ones by the end of the season. And I don't think I'm going to be able to fit these roots the whole way in, so I'd rather like cut them now to something a little more manageable, and then I won't have to like fold them because those will probably like rot away anyway, whereas now that I've cut them, as soon as these settle in, they should start to put out side shoots, which is what we want. And then I'm going to plant it the same as it was in the nursery pot when I bought it, which is basically like the bottom of the onion is covered and then the top is out. So just kind of at the same level. So just part filling with soil, putting it in. Oops, getting this out. Putting it in at a slight angle, laying down the roots, and then I'll cover that up. Level it out so it's just proud, and then I'm gonna put that in the tray, and then I have some more rinsed pumice, and I'm gonna top dress it with this because I want to make sure that there's no, like, we are technically in a rainforest, so once the rains come back, I just want to make sure that it doesn't have too much water right at the top, and also I don't want the mud to like splash everywhere. So there we go. There's one of them. And then I should be able to do 3 times 7 or something. So 21. We'll see. I'll see if I can tuck these guys in here without pushing anybody out. So we've ended up with a lot of onions. And I can see Lewis approaching, and I bet he's asking why we need so many nodding onions. um, so we have a couple of projects. Well, first of all, they're like a native onion, so like amazing. They have beautiful purple flowers, and the bees love them. And they bloom for like 6 weeks, and then the seed head looks pretty too. So lots of reasons. But we have two projects that I think they would work really well in. One is a dry creek bed that we're kind of redoing, and I think that they would do great there because it's like full sun and kind of rocky. And then we have a small area that's like, we call it the meadow. Right now, it's mostly like invasive blackberry and broom. um, the eventual plan is to plant natural meadow, or um, the eventual plan is to plant native meadow plants. So these guys. So we'll see. I think the plan is to put the onions that are already formed in the creek project because that will be happening in a few weeks. And then the other project will happen probably next year. So the seedlings should be ready by then. So I'm going to go ahead and give these guys a little bit of a rinse as well. The soil was pretty dry, but because they're in the double tray, they will get water from the bottom as well. And then I'll probably just give them a few days in the greenhouse just to kind of get used to life. And then I'll put them back outside, and then they can just get rain and all of that stuff. So everybody's all tucked away in the greenhouse. The seedlings may end up staying until spring, but I'll just play it by ear. If I see kind of good growth come up sooner than that, then I might just put them out in a sheltered position. And then the onions that we divided, I'll leave in here maybe just for a few days. I'm kind of going to play it by ear. They all had healthy roots. So I think that I'll see growth of the roots, maybe out the bottom, maybe even some top growth. So I'll just play it by ear. As soon as they seem ready, I'll let those out as well. But that's it for today. So thanks for coming along, and I'll catch you next time.